Reddit. What's an unknown fact that could save your life? Probably said already, but bad CPR is better than no, even if you're unskilled. You literally cannot make the person more dead, as being dead is what predicates CPR. If you have a puncture wound to the chest or abdomen, the first thing you should do is place a non-porous, think plastic bag, object over the wound. It will help prevent tension pneumothorax, which means collapsed lungs. A tourniquet is quite simple to put on and can save a life if there is no other option. Place close to the site or near, not on, a joint. Never remove a tourniquet once placed, as clots can travel to the brain and lungs. Also mark the time you put it on. If you're at an accident scene and have no medical training, something you can do is collect information and help calm victims. This is quite helpful as it assists the paramedics with triage and keeps potential injured person's heart rates down. Alternatively, learn how to hold C-spine. If your car ever gets stuck on the train tracks, look for a sign on the crossing arms. This is the Railway 911 and has a number to call to stop traffic as well as your exact location. If you've been cut deeply, pack gauze into the wound as tightly as possible, then hold pressure. If you are driving in inclement weather, pay attention to truckers. They are often warned ahead of time of wrecks and things due to their radios. Also, never drive in the rain without headlights. Related to your second point, about a puncture wound to the chest or abdomen, a driver's license or other ID is something that most people will have on hand that could work. In boot camp they taught us about sucking chest wounds, which according to my googling is the same thing as pneumothorax. Called sucking chest wounds because that's literally what it is. A wound to the chest that has suction. Commonly caused by gunshots, stabbings, or other kinds of puncture wounds. The tool they taught us we could use if we had to was our military ID cards, or a driver's license. Said to just put it on there, and the suction of the wound would hold it in place long enough to provide other assistance and or until better qualified people could get there to help. I've never had to do anything with that, so take my words with a grain of salt, but I definitely won't forget sucking chest wound equals ID card. Rescuing a drowning person can be just as dangerous as drowning. That drowning person is completely panicked and has only one goal, get air down air pipe, and a desperate drownee will do anything to obtain it. That includes climbing on top of a perfectly able swimmer and submerging them underwater to get their own head above water. Know your limits. If you yourself are a poor swimmer, or the water conditions aren't favorable, strong currents, rough waves, murky water, don't attempt rescue. Immediately contact emergency services and throw something that floats at the drowning person. If you do feel confident to perform rescue, and the water conditions are favorable to your abilities, make sure you take something that floats with you, so you can immediately hand it to the drowning person before they latch onto you. If they attempt to make a grab at you, immediately kick away. Feet should be pointing towards to the victim, and thrust the flotation aid at them. If they still attempt to grab at you, keep kicking away until they calm down or even pass out. Better only one person to rescue than two. If you get kidnapped, try to leave as much traces of yourself behind as you can. For example, leave bits of clothing behind or scratch your arms a lot to leave dead skin behind. This way, you increase your chances that a search dog could pick up your scent and find you. The best defense against an aggressive bear is to get some sort of large object, like a large tree or car, and just keep moving around it, keeping it between you and the bear until they get bored and leave. Bears are way faster than people in straightaways, but cannot maneuver around the object as quickly due to how big they are. Do not try and climb the tree, just keep it between you and them. This is known as the squirrel defense. Now if there are two bears. If giving aspirin to someone having a heart attack, make sure they chew it. It works far faster that way. Drug users or alcoholics often use in the same places with the same people around the same time of day, so your body is conditioned to that, and when you are in these familiar situations your body is basically preparing for you to use drugs. When you switch up your normal routine, your tolerance is actually lower because your body wasn't triggered by your surroundings. This is important to consider to prevent people from overdosing by using a similar amount as normal in a situation where their tolerance wouldn't be the same. Situational specificity of tolerance effect. If you get caught in a rip current and dragged out towards sea, don't try to swim against it. Swim parallel to the beach till you get out of the current and then make your way to shore. Or better yet, if you see one narrow section of the water that's unusually still, as in there's a visible break in the middle of a wave, don't swim in it. Edit. The reason is that this is how you identify the rip current in the first place. If you either have a long-standing alcohol problem, show any signs of alcohol withdrawal when you go too long without drinking, do not attempt to quit drinking without medical assistance. Alcohol withdrawal can be fatal. If someone is stabbed or punctured by a sharp object, leave it inside. Do not, absolutely do not, try to pull it out. Leave the object in until help arrives. Pulling it out will only double the damage. The object can considerably reduce and stop the flow of blood by exerting pressure on the injured area. The moment you pull it out, blood flow is likely to increase. If someone's trying to kidnap you, your chance of survival drops by 50% once you get in a vehicle and even more once you reach a destination. My mum told me about this nurse that was nabbed. She fought so hard but got put in the car. She managed to get the door open while it was moving and just tuck and rolled out. She was all sorts of effed up with skin missing and broken bones, but she was alive. They caught the guy a while later after he took and murdered another nurse at another hospital. Even if you have to break bones, don't let them get you to the destination or you are dead. If you are being followed by someone, the best chance you have at deterring the person pursuing you is to turn around and yell firmly at them, "What do you want?" whilst getting the best description of their face. This will help people that are around you know where you are, whilst hopefully scaring the creep off, as they will most likely realize that you have seen their face and know that they are following you. To make sure someone is following you, take a few random turns, avoid alleyways and dark areas, try to get to populated spots, and if they are still there, go for gold. I was walking on a lonely road at midnight when someone started following me on a bike, probably with an intention to rob me or something. I moved quietly for 10 minutes and didn't look back, giving him the benefit of doubt. But then I had to take a turn into a even less visible and a darker street, where there would be no vehicles at all. Now I was scared. So I turned back and effing stared him in his eyes with the most angry ready to fight face longer than he could into mine. He pissed off quicker than a bee. Also, I had a good heavy beard, so that definitely helped. But the truth is, I've never been into a street fight and I couldn't have one if it really came down to that, but non-verbal domination and confrontation definitely works in situations like this. Don't let them dominate you.
I had a similar situation. I'm a pretty small female and I was walking around late dropping flyers off for a uni project of my friends. I saw this guy walking towards me and immediately knew it was going to be an issue. He asked me if I knew where a red apartment was, and we were literally standing right next to it. So I just pointed and kept walking. I tried to distance myself from him by walking around the block, but somehow when I came around the corner he was already walking towards me from the opposite side. He would have had to run to get there that fast. I get really angry when I feel threatened, so I just stopped in my tracks and stared him down with a death glare. He changed direction rather quickly and honestly I was surprised it worked, haha.
If you're in Europe and in a situation where you need to contact help, police, ambulance, etc., but cannot, hostage situation, active shooter, and don't want to make noise so that you are not found out, instead of calling 112, just type a text message with all the info needed to pass to authorities and send it to 114. That is the emergency number for people with speech or hearing impediment. You can survive for 3 minutes without air or in icy water. Survive for 3 hours without shelter in a harsh environment, unless in icy water. Survive for 3 days without water, if sheltered from a harsh environment. Survive for 3 weeks without food, if you have water and shelter. Know any useful tips you would like to share? Leave it in the comments section below.